That's terrible. The floods, it's shocking. They don't know the answer yet as to how many people, but it looks like some young people have died.
Hi, Discover Church family. You've now heard about the flash flood, torrential pouring down in Hunt, Texas, at a campsite where a lot of Christian girls go to, and a lot of people are dead and missing. Roughly 80 people dead and about 40 people missing. I'll give you the exact figures as of this time. But what's interesting that I haven't heard other people say yet is that place is exactly the intersection of the eclipses, the great American solar eclipses that I said would mark the next, catastrophe. So we had a catastrophe in Texas before. Texas has been hit hard in Houston. Now we have another intersection very near San Antonio. So I want to show you this. If you just have a look on your screen and look at on the 14th of October 2023, it was the annular solar eclipse that went right across San Antonio, and you can see in that location marker, that's where the Camp Mystic is on the map. Then you go over to the great solar eclipse. This one's the total solar eclipse that we all watched, the last one on the 8th of April 2024, and you can see intersecting the other way, you see Camp Mystic basically dead center on the path of totality just northwest of San Antonio. So I just crudely drew this, and I just show you on the 5th of July 2025 at Camp Mystic, or in Hunt, Texas, this great flood came and it took people by surprise. People are just reeling. How did it happen so fast? Right now, 78 people are declared dead, 40 adults and 28 children. 41 are missing, including 20 girls, which are, I would assume that they're from Christian parents, likely Christian girls at a Christian camp called Camp Mystic. God had warned through the intersection that something would happen at each of these intersections. I really believe it's going to be at each of these intersections, 3 locations in the continental United States. So if we just run the numbers, okay, we know that this particular judgment, this catastrophe, happened 629 days since the 2023 eclipse, the annular eclipse. And then it's 452 days since the 2024 great total solar eclipse. So let's run some of the numbers, and these are just things that are hidden in codes. You can do with them whatever you wish or nothing at all. It's up to you. But I believe that God's speaking to us in many ways, and actually the code is quite startling. So let me show you. First of all, we just run by a simple code, the code of Strong's Concordance. 629 in the Hebrew is osparna, which is the word fast or speedily. Is that interesting? How fast this thing came, and speedily, we would say. 629 in the Greek, Strong's Concordance, is apolutrosis, which is actually deliverance, redemption, or salvation. Very interesting contrast. Speedily, deliverance, and salvation. Let's run through the scriptures that have these words. In Ezra, we find, in Ezra 6:12, it says that I, Darius, have made a decree, let it be done with speed. That word 629 is with speed. In Ezra 7:26, whoever will not do the law of thy God and the law of thy king, let judgment be executed speedily. I mean, not only is the word meaningful to the catastrophe, but the very words of the king that was saying, hey, everybody has to do what God says. We now know the true God is the God of Israel. Whoever will not do the law of thy God and the law of the king, let the judgment be executed speedily upon him, whether it be unto death, to banishment, to confiscation of goods, or to imprisonment. That's 629. That's what we're getting from 629 in the Old Testament. 629 in the New Testament is absolutely stunning, absolutely shocking, because this event that happened right at where X marks the spot of the 2 great solar eclipses, it points us to, you'll recognize it right away, Luke 21:28. And the Hebrew word, the Greek concordance word that's marked by 629 appears in this verse saying, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption, 629, Greek 629, draws near. I mean, that's the name of our show. That's the name that God gave to our program that's aired on different networks and on PTL. We say, whatever's happening, keep looking up. And 629 is that word. Your redemption, 629, draws near. Jesus is coming back soon. And these things, we may not understand everything about why these girls were swept away, why it was like just epicentered on a Christian camp. And I'll read a little bit of history about this camp so that you're not familiar with it, so you know a little bit about it. And another way that we can also look is we look at the number 452. Okay, so this is the number of days since the most recent eclipse until the judgment, right where X marks the spot. Another way to look at numbers is 452 represents the 4th book, 5th chapter, 2nd verse. So in the New Testament, 4th book is John, 5th chapter, 2nd verse says, now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. I thought that's very interesting because we're talking about water. How many verses in the Bible have a body of water mentioned? At 452, there is a pool called Bethesda. And this is where believers would have gathered around that pool, waiting for something good to happen. We also have Genesis 45:2 would qualify as 452, right? Genesis 45:2, and this really, it seems very correlative to what happened. It says about Joseph, 45:2, he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. So this is something that I'm sure is causing so many people to weep. And God has said judgment is coming upon America. I know it's so hard for my fellow believers and Americans to fathom this. I mean, I am fully rooted here. I've left everything. I believe in the salvation of America, but I also believe judgment can come. As much as it could come against Israel, and the Israelites said, no, it will never happen to us. We got Jerusalem, we got the temple. Hey, all we got is Washington, D.C. Don't think that judgment can't come here. So I would consider Goshens. And Corrie ten Boom said one of the places where it could be a Goshen, it is actually around the area that I'm here right now where this happened. So I believe that God puts me in prophetic timing and prophetic geography. The Ozarks was mentioned as actually Goshen when she had a vision of the end time. So this area is very interesting, could be a Goshen. If you're in other places, or if you're just not sure when these catastrophes are going to come and you want to believe for, hey, let's go offshore and have something where we can go and evangelize the world, I would tell you we are building another Goshen. I believe here it could be a Goshen, Florida could be a Goshen, but we're also building a Goshen in southern Thailand for the work, not for escape. I don't know why people think that expanding the kingdom of God is something that is an escape and negative. No, we want to invest in building the kingdom of God in a 99% unsafe, unevangelized country. Southern Thailand, very safe. Go look at GoshenLake.org. Anywhere you can find a Goshen. If you think you got another Goshen, tell me about it. But I'm hearing that here, since I've been with Jim Baker, that here in this Ozark area, they even have food in caves and tunnels everywhere that's being stored. I don't know how people would get to it, but evidently the government and rich, corporations have these freezers underground. That's where they're storing food. So this could be a Goshen. I'm just at the Atlanta airport, and I just want to give you a quick update that since yesterday, all the girls that were missing from the flood in Texas, they are now declared dead. And I was saying, the Lord will reveal to us more and more information. There's a lot of information that seems to suggest that quite possibly it is another man-made engineered disaster. I'm looking at some of the posts that I'm going to read to you on Facebook, and usually they fact check these things right away, but I don't see any fact check comments, so I'm going to assume that it's got something worth investigating. So please take a look at this carefully. Augustus Dorico, a 25-year-old CEO and founder of weather modification startup company Rainmaker Technology Corporation. According to public information, Dorico's company was reportedly cloud seeding over parts of Texas 36 hours before the unnatural storm and historic flooding began in the same region. Those floods will quite literally turn the natural spring of the Guadalupe River into a Mississippi-sized river. The river rose almost 40 feet in just minutes. It's tsunami-sized waves that you would normally see coming from the ocean and not a natural spring river. Those floods have killed now over 80 people, and the missing ones, it looks like they're also dead. So very, very tragic. So the question is, why is a 25-year-old in charge of a company with no public oversight, a company that is allowed to modify the sky? His own peers and employees on Twitter say cloud seeding is playing God. It says that he's reposting tweets of a giant wave with the caption, "When you realize nothing can stop what is coming." Texas is allowing these experiments to happen in highly populated areas. And they call it stewarding the natural world. Texas instead got biblical-sized flooding, a once-in-a-lifetime flood with little to no warning to the residents and campers along the river. So you can't say this is God. This is what I said. If we're patient enough, we're going to get the right information and people are going to know. In the end time, and really all the time, when you look at the sins and the suffering of the world, it's not God that started wars. It's not God that made the Wuhan virus. And it's not God that's modifying the skies and playing God. So this seems to be something that has long history. Even the king of Thailand was involved in stimulating rain because he wanted the farmers not to be afraid of not having enough rain in an agricultural society. So we know the technology is real. I'm going to venture and add a little bit here. It may be speculative. Alaska Skywatcher says a warning of weather modification. The floodwaters in Texas weren't just a natural disaster. They were a controlled demolition. In their wake, they may have left behind something far more insidious than water damage, but blue rain. Okay, this isn't conjecture, he says. It's a pattern recognition backed by chemistry, atmospheric science, and a growing trail of evidence. What is blue rain? It is what it sounds like, precipitation tinted by a vivid and bluish hue. It has been dismissed in the media as everything from algae to industrial dust, but one substance that keeps coming up in connection with these events is copper sulfate. The science behind it makes the hair stand up. This is what they won't talk about. Copper sulfate is not just blue, it's a powerful electrolyte, chemically aggressive, highly conductive in solution. Copper sulfate crystals are bright blue. When dissolved in water, like in rainwater, they can tint the water blue or bluish green. I wonder, is this the green horse later on? It turns ordinary rain into an electrically conductive medium, perfect for interacting with electromagnetic fields and frequency weapons. It has environmental toxicity, lethal to fish, insects, birds, amphibians, soil bacteria, and this is part of the problem with our soil, is that bacteria itself is dying, and this is why, we recommend you take care of your health, you supplement, do things that we mentioned, activating the vagus nerve. These things are all very part and parcel with staying healthy before the next plagues. It has aerosol behavior. It's light enough to be aerosolized and dispersed either by plane or by ground-based updraft injection. While silver iodide is the poster child of cloud seeding, copper sulfate is the stealth agent that enhances conductivity and destruction without being widely acknowledged. So, these are things that people who are more scientific than me, although I love science, you can go study that and have a look. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to give you a little bit of the history of the camp, which tragically does sound like it is genuinely a Christian camp, and Christians suffered because of these possibly man-engineered weather modification destruction. I'm sorry to report that, but at least we know, and I want to be clear, God's never responsible for people's destruction. People are responsible for hurting people.
It began in 1926 as Stewart's Camp for Girls, founded by University of Texas coach Edward James Doc Stewart. Sometimes later, the date we don't know, the camp was then renamed Camp Mystic. The choice for Mystic was intentional. It was meant to evoke a sense of wonder and adventure. It aligns with the camp's purpose of offering a transformative, exciting experience for young girls in the scenic Texas Hill Country. The name reflects the awe-inspiring atmosphere of nature and personal growth, and it's not meant to be, this kind of hidden Eastern mysticism connotation of mystic. So we would say that it's mystic in a more simple, poetic sense, even in a Christian sense of the word mystic. After its founding, the camp was purchased in 1939 by Agnes Stacy and her husband, who shaped many of its enduring traditions. It has since maintained a strong Christian focus. Camp Mystic is non-denominational Christian camp. It integrates faith into daily life with activities like Sunday worship, daily devotionals, Bible studies, and Vespers, which are evening prayers. The mission of the camp is to foster wholesome Christian atmosphere. So all I can say is my heart goes out to the people who are struggling through the loss right now. I love Texas. I love Texans. You're some of my best friends and partners. But the Lord told me not to plant ourselves in Texas. And we're seeing the fires. Now we're seeing the floods. And X marks the spot. The Lord has mentioned this. We want to fight for Texas. We want to fight for freedom. But you need to look for, within about a year and a half, you need to look for a Goshen. And whether you want to be here or you want to be offshore, I think both options should be on the table. So this is Pastor Steve. That's all I'm going to say about this for now. It's just a tragedy. And these are the codes and the patterns that I see prophetically. If there's more light to it, or if you're on the ground and you can shed more light about it, by all means, write the comments there. Okay? But now's the time to grieve, and now's the time to pray. Be led by the Spirit. Whatever you do, keep looking up.